You're listening to The Gary Harris Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa. The Gary Harris Show. UCM host Tider Insider TV. Crimson Tide Kickoff. Play-by-play for Alabama sports and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for The Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning, everybody. It's straight up 9 o'clock on this Thursday, January 25, 2024. Welcome into the Gary Harris Show right here on Tide 100.9 FM and 1230 AM WTBC. I'm your host, Gary Harris. Justin Jones is right there on the other side of the glass. He's manning the controls, taking your phone calls on the First and Main Condominiums hotline in hour number 1, the Krispy Kreme Donuts hotline in hour number 2 at 205-342-9904. We got a jam-packed show for you today. I mean, we are loaded. In fact, we're going to be going over to the Nick Dunlap press conference here just as soon as Justin gives me the thumbs up. Nick Dunlap, the Alabama sophomore golfer, U.S. amateur champion, won the American Express last week out at La Quinta, California, now has full playing privileges on the PGA Tour at 20 years old. He is going to have a press conference this morning here at the University of Alabama to announce his future plans. And will he continue to be an amateur and play for Alabama golf this spring, or will he go ahead and turn pro? We're going to find that out in just a couple of minutes, and we will be going live to that press conference just as soon as Nick Dunlap is at the podium. I need to go ahead and tell you, though, before we go any further, this hour of the Gary Harris Show being brought to you by Alabama Credit Union. Member-owned and not-for-profit. Tidings from the Alabama Credit Union. Because I tell you what, the holidays may be over, but the good spirits and the good feeling that Alabama Credit Union gives its members lasts 12 months out of the year. Well over 30 locations around the great state of Alabama, including the main office right here at 220 Paul W. Bryant Drive East in Tuscaloosa. Alabama Credit Union. Loans for real life. Some rules and restrictions do apply. See if you're eligible for membership. Then join today and feel good about your money. And put a little extra change in your pocket. All right, we'll be going to the Nick Dunlap press conference here momentarily. Also this morning, we've got a really good show. We've got all of the reaction from the Alabama's 79-75 win over Auburn. Alabama now leads that series 100-67. That was Alabama's 100th win against Auburn. They've won basically two out of every 3 times these two teams have played. That's pretty impressive to have a 33-game lead in a series against your in-state rival. Huge win for Alabama. We'll recap that. We'll have the post-game reaction for you. Also, we'll get into the Ryan Williams commitment. I told you yesterday morning, and that I felt strongly that something was going to be happening with Ryan Williams in Alabama yesterday. Barry Sanderson had said the same thing. And indeed, yesterday afternoon, I guess a recommitment, Ryan Williams to Alabama. Big pickup for Kalen DeBoer and the Crimson Tide. So we've got all that. And in studio this morning, we've got a special guest that is going to have a great topic to talk on because, you know, basketball is right around as far as the postseason. It'll be here before you know it. And it's a special time for Stillman College and for Tuscaloosa and visit Tuscaloosa as the Gulf Coast Athletic Commissioner, Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes, is in town to promote the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference tournaments coming up in Tuscaloosa. And that is going to be for the men and the women. Stillman will be hosting at the Birthright Auditorium. So Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes is going to be in studio this morning at 9:30, and also at 10:30, my pal Jeff Spiegel from ABC 3340, host of The Zone, will be with us. Your phone calls, as I said, are always welcome on the First and Main Condominiums hotline in hour number 1, the Krispy Kreme Donuts hotline in hour number 2, 205-342-9904. All right, while Justin is waiting on Nick Dunlap, let me go ahead and jump into the basketball game last night because it was a good one. And Justin, I went out on social media and made my prediction before the game and let everybody else make their predictions. And not bad. I had Alabama 82-75. And it was 79-75. So that was pretty close. Interesting game. Obviously, you had the delay because of the, they got the LED lights and then they couldn't get the main lights on. Tipped it off and then had to delay it. But Alabama came out slow. I thought Janai Brew might go for 40 last night, the way that game started inside for Auburn. He's a load. But Auburn jumped out 14-6, 5-0, 14-6, and then Alabama pulled even. And then Alabama ended the half on a 9-0 run and 44-30 at half. And you're looking at 44-30 and you're thinking, you know what? Alabama wound up outscoring Auburn by 14 points in this half. And didn't really feel like it. But you're sitting there thinking, this game could get away from Auburn. Now, Alabama's at home. It's a 44-30 game. and you got a chance to come out here with a hot start in the second half and put this thing away. Didn't happen. Auburn's a good team, and Bruce Pearl obviously got to them, and it was just the opposite. Auburn came out and cut that deficit down, and then you knew you were going to go down to the wire. You did. You knew that at that point it was going to go right down to the wire, and it did. Alabama made its free throws. Auburn actually shot free throws well, too, but had an opportunity there late. I don't know. That wasn't much of a foul. That kid got they called Grant Nelson for a foul on a three-point attempt. Like he barely grazed him, but they called it, and the kid's a great free throw shooter, but he only made 2 out of 3. And that allowed Alabama to keep a 1-point lead. Then Nelson got fouled, and they went up 3, and they wound up winning the game by 4. Huge win for Alabama. Tied hold serve. I think Oates is now 6-3 against Bruce Pearl. Alabama has to go back down to Auburn in a couple of weeks. We got Justin. All right, Justin, we're going to Nick Dunlap press conference now at the University of Alabama.
Alabama, and especially our golf program. Excited. Thank you for being here. First, our athletic director, Greg Byrne, who has been tremendous in this all week. Really appreciate him and his leadership in all we do. The Dunlap family, Jim and Charlene, I'll call you that right now, not Jim, Mr. and Miss Dunlap, and his friends, and Hunter, a former player, and then our players, of course, who are here. And most of them are not here, not because of any other reason. They have class, and we still go to class here, by the way, if you want to know that. And so they are streaming it on their phones in the class, so they might as well should have been here. But that being said, we're glad you're here. It's an exciting day. It's a proud day for me as a coach and of our program. My assistant coach also, Forrest Schultz, who's here also. And, Sunday was a surreal day. It was an incredible day. And that's why we're here. It's historic. And I was honored that I got to be there. What an incredible day. And as I told our team on our team meeting on Tuesday when Nick came back, and, there's 2 things that day that made me very, to watch him do what he did. As a coach, you get to see the insides of a young man. And all of these young men, as they try to chase their dreams, the doubts, the things they work on, and all of those things, mental and physical, he had to go through all day on Sunday, and it was a joy to watch him go through them. And then to handle them in such a way, and then to win, of course, was amazing. And as I told him this, I didn't know I was going to be on TV. That was just pure joy, celebration for him. I tried to get off of my own and do that. And I told him that this morning. I knew what that victory meant before it even happened. I know what this day probably will hold. We'll find out from Nick in a minute. But that's how excited I was for him, because I've known him since he was 10 years old, when he came to golf camp. And I've known his dreams, and I'm honored that he gave us the opportunity to coach him and all, and to see him realize his dreams on that last hole is why we coach. Then the second thing I learned is, we tried as hard as we could in a quick moment to get our team there. We could not. And so the van video, if any of you've seen it, to me also is why I'm a proud coach. College athletics, there's still a purity, especially in college golf, in a brotherhood. And I know that we had his teammates love him. That was pure, just joy and friendship and just adoration for their teammate. And there's no jealousy. I wish I would have. Why won't he, or whatever. And so as a coach, our program is in a great place. And so Sunday had a lot of things happen. Mostly Nick winning, and that's why we're here today. I'm excited to give him this stage, and tell you what he would like to do for the rest of his life. And I'll move out of the way, and I want to introduce Nick. Come on up, Nick Dunlap.
Oh, boy. First off, thank you all for being here. I know it's, a little short notice, and it's been a hectic past couple of days, but thank you for being here. First off, I just want to say that, choosing the University of Alabama is by far the greatest decision I've ever made. I've grown as a person, as a player. When, Coach Sewell first recruited me, by the way, first coach to ever recruit me. And, I was a little shit, not gonna lie. But I've learned a lot, and I'm very grateful for my time here, and, A.D. Byrne and the University of Alabama, and, couldn't be happier with where I decided to come. And, but first off, my parents, they've, through all the ups and downs, they've always been there. whether that's, driving through the night to see me play golf or getting up early and kind of first starting to understand how expensive golf is. So thank you. As I mentioned, Coach Sewell, but we've been through a lot. I didn't want to play for anybody else, and I'm glad I made the decision to play for him, and hopefully I've represented Alabama golf well. But and to my teammates and the people that are watching, love you guys, and being your teammate has been a blast for me. To all my friends and family and Izzy, the support I got, from the people that flew out and from the people that were here watching. Thank you. Gosh dang, didn't think I was gonna cry. From TaylorMade and Adidas, from two companies that have supported me from the very beginning, with Corey being here. Our relationships go way past just what you see on the outside. There's some cool stuff that goes behind the scenes, and they've been there for a lot of my cool moments and a lot of bad ones too. And Corey, I appreciate you being here. Look forward to working with you guys in the future. Scott Simpson, a little behind the scenes guy, helps me with a lot of my law stuff, and looks after me for however long he's known me for quite some time as well. And Brian back there, my swing instructor, got to thank him for dealing with all my messed up problems. Where's Hunter at? Quiet Hunter. Can truly say that you were probably the only guy in the bag last week that I could have done that with. I needed his demeanor, and what he gave me out there was really special, and I'm happy to share that with you. To another guy behind the scenes, but Brett. Good. Yeah, I'm good. To Brett McCabe. He's got to sort out all the demons in my head, and definitely doesn't get enough credit for sure. And thank you. You everything you've done for me, and I really appreciate that. And Coach Sewell made one promise to me coming here, and that's for those that didn't know, I had a wrist injury. This lasted for a little while, and he promised me that that would get fixed. And for Clark to be here and to help me through those injuries. And actually, I have two funny stories, but one Hunter actually got the bad end of, but busted my eardrum about 3 days before SECs last year, and Clark's the one that had to deal with that. And while the team flew on a private jet to Sea Island, Hunter had to drive me 8 hours, so couldn't fly in an airplane, but later found out that I was able to. And a little behind the scenes, a couple of people do know, but I was actually at this past USAM, I was at Dave & Buster's, and there's a little clown game where clowns pop up and you throw a ball at it. And I was at Corey was there and a couple other people, but I got done and literally couldn't pick up my shoulder, couldn't raise my arm, and called Clark, and immediately I was like, man, what'd you do now? He did whatever he did, all his crap that I had with me, and I was after the quarterfinals and came out in the semis and couldn't feel a thing. So thank you. Not a lot of people know that, but I seriously don't know if I'd have been able to continue to play through that. And to GSC and Kev for dealing with everything that a lot of people don't see and putting up with people that I don't have to put up with. He does a lot of work for me, and I can't thank him enough. He supported me from the very beginning, before I think agents were allowed to follow. Kev was watching me, and I just want to thank him, and again, looking forward to going on this journey with Kev. But hopefully, I apologize if I'm missing anybody. But I truly do have the best team, and I'm very grateful to say that. And I mean that wholeheartedly. But at this time, I do want to announce that I am turning professional. I'm accepting my PGA Tour membership, and I'm going to debut at the Pebble Beach AT&T Pro-Am. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break because we waited to get the announcement we felt like was coming. He got that. He's going to do a Q&A. We've got an in-studio guest coming up at 9:30, but let's get to our first break of the Gary Harris Show, and we'll come back and we'll take some of these Q&A segments with Nick Dunlap, turning pro, and you just can't blame him. I mean, he's a winner on the PGA Tour. We'll be back after this.
This season of Alabama football on Tide 100.9, brought to you by Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Just a few minutes away, where you can be a winner too.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by CB&S Bank. Bank anywhere, at any time with CB&S Bank's digital solutions. Managing your finances has never been so easy. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On Monday night's edition of Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance, we were joined at Baumhower's Victory Grill by Alabama baseball head coach Rob Vaughn.
You're a month away from first pitch, first game, first series, and I know you're chomping at the bit to get going.
No doubt, and really, it's one of those things that's so easy to look forward to February 16th in Manhattan coming to town, but the reality is, we've got a really important month ahead of us, and I think our kids did a great job this fall of showing up every day and working and really laid a good start there, but this week will be good. We got a couple days of individuals left, and then we'll start team practice on Friday, so we'll get some scrimmages in this weekend and start seeing some live arms. So, if we need some work. We got to keep getting better. But man, I'm excited to get to go to war with this group.
I'll have more in a moment.
CB&S Bank has a long history of stability and a legacy of serving our community's needs for generations. You could say we know a thing or two about tradition. We've been family, community, and financially strong since we began in 1906. Being a team player is part of our culture. That's why at CB&S Bank, we're proud to sponsor the University of Alabama Athletics and prouder to take the field or court with you. Visit cbsbank.com today. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Join us this afternoon at 2 p.m. Central for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, as we cover the latest on Alabama athletics. Crimson Drive is streaming live on all CTSN social media platforms. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by CB&S Bank. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
You see him on WVUA 23 covering sports and on Tider Insider TV on Tuesday nights. Don't miss a minute of the Gary Harris Show. Weekdays from 9 to 11 on Tide 100.9.
All right, 9:20. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show, and we're going to be talking Gulf Coast Athletic Conference basketball tournament at the bottom of the hour. Right now, though, we're going to get back out to Nick Dunlap, Alabama golfer turning pro. He's doing a Q&A with reporters right now. We're going to rejoin that press conference.
Able to represent the state of Alabama here on the biggest stage.
It's really cool. Like I said, I grew up in Birmingham and grew up dreaming about coming to school here and playing golf for Coach Sewell. He's got an incredible reputation for churning out tour players and, played with two just in the tournament last week with Wilson Fur and Justin. So, to be able to do that and to represent Alabama and the University of Alabama a little bit moving forward is something that I always hold very close to me. And, that's why that there's going to be a script A on my bag forever.
Front row, Kirk.
First off, congratulations, Nick. That was exciting to watch and also interesting. I know golf kind of game it is, but it looked like the pros were really kind of cheering you on.
They were. They had and Sam and Justin as well. They're obviously competing and they're, it's a job. They're playing for their living and playing for, to win themselves. But kind of the way they treated me and rooted me on, especially the last couple of holes was really cool. And even throughout the week, the kind of, good playing, keep it up, like rooting for you, from all the guys was really neat. And they didn't treat me any different because I had an A next to my name. And, they treated me like I was one of them, which was, really cool and comforting for me.
Up on the right.
Nick, how good does it feel that the next time you win, you'll actually be able to touch the prize money?
Pretty cool. But I mean, even just the opportunity to play there and against those guys was worth the price of admission for me. And, if you'd have said, I said it out there, would you take the prize money or win on the PGA Tour? I'd say win on the PGA Tour every time.
We've got time for one or two more questions for Dave. There are any left? Go these two right here. Go to the third row. And then Matthew will finish.
So looking ahead now, this opens things up quite a bit for you, and you've got some pretty big courses ahead of you on your schedule, Pebble Beach and TPC Sawgrass, for example. What are you most looking forward to, sort of looking ahead the next couple of months, and what courses maybe do you have some familiarity with?
I've played TBC a couple times. I've played in some junior events, but all of them are new to me. And I think that's something that's really cool. Obviously, Hunter's going to be a big advocate for that. He's had some success at Riviera, and, I'll use his word and his insight on that. And I'm looking forward to it, but, looking forward to Augusta. I think that'll be a, experience of a lifetime. And, just to play out the schedule that I've been given is going to be, it's going to be really neat, but also the opportunity to kind of pick and choose your schedule as a 20-year-old on the PGA Tour is unbelievable.
Yeah, they're in the front 9 of the final round. Nick Saban joined the Golf Channel in a guest appearance. On it, one of the comments he made, he said he believed that you have the right stuff. That's high praise from one of the biggest support figures of this generation. What's it like having someone like that supporting your journey?
It's pretty cool. I think everybody knows what Coach Saban has done for Alabama and this university, but we get to spend a fair amount of time with him out of the facility and just the time he takes with us and the guys. And it's really cool because we look at him as an icon, and he is, and to have that come from him is really neat. And, he called me after, which was pretty special as well.
All right. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Outstanding. That's perfect. Good timing. In recapping this huge story, Nick Dunlap, University of Alabama sophomore golfer, just turned 20 years old, maybe a month ago or so, and had intended, of course, to play this season at the University of Alabama. Now, he was going to be turning pro regardless after the season. He had already won the U.S. Amateur. He was going to be playing in the Masters. He was going to be playing in, and probably just as soon as the golf season in Alabama was over, he was going to turn pro anyway, and probably would have been pro in time for the U.S. Open. But he played last week in the American Express on a sponsor's exemption, the only amateur in the field, and he won the event. Now, he didn't get the $1.5 million first place prize, but it was a life-changing accomplishment, obviously. The first amateur to win an event since Phil Mickelson 33 years ago. One of just a handful of amateurs that have won events on the PGA Tour in the history of the game. And, it is what it is, Justin. And for people that are saying, well, he could have come back and played another year at Alabama and still turned pro. Yeah, he could have. But listen, he's a PGA Tour winner. He already knows he can win against the best in the world. And I'm not diminishing the goal. Listen, he doesn't win that tournament. He's coming back and playing for Alabama, and Alabama's one of the favorites to win the national championship. That changes now. Alabama's still going to have a really good team, but they're not going to have arguably the best amateur player in the country on their roster. So it's going to change their roster, but no one could have foreseen him winning that event. But when he won it, Justin, he's doing what he has to do. There's no reason to put that clock off anymore. You want to be a professional golfer, and you heard the support he's getting from J.C. Will and his teammates. It's the right decision. You got to go ahead and play as a professional. Now, plus, as much as Nick Dunlap would be committed to Alabama and his teammates, let's be honest. And now that you've won on the PGA Tour, I don't know that your focus would be the same. Does that make any sense, Justin, to play college golf at this point? You're playing college golf, but your mind is on, I should be out there on the PGA Tour. Let's just be honest.
No, you're exactly right. I think a lot of people want to, it's Alabama. We're going to compare it and draw conclusions from football. This isn't like the NFL draft where, the guy should have came back. He needs just a little bit more. This is golf. If he's done it. Mm-hmm. There's a whole tour of grown men trying to do what he just did this past Sunday, and he's already did it. Like you said, he doesn't need to. He might not have that motivation to play college golf, but he doesn't even need to play college golf because he's reached the pinnacle. Yeah, so he's doing it. Did not say it outright, but you got the he's got Jeff Curl, who's his mentor, and has, caddied for him in the amateur events, but you got the impression that he's going to keep Hunter Hamrick on the bag, and I don't blame him. They worked flawlessly. Not only was Nick Dunlap seeing those courses for the first time, so was Hunter Hamrick. And the kind of chemistry, if I'm Nick Dunlap, I'm hiring Hunter Hamrick as my caddy. I can tell you that right now. Yeah, and he made a point to thank and kind of honor Hunter Hamrick with what he did. Said he couldn't have done it without him on Sunday. And the reason I think that we're going to that conclusion is he was asked a question about courses he's going to end up playing here in the near future on the tour, and he pointed to having Hunter be a source of knowledge for him and using Hunter to, I think Riviera is the course he referenced, being able to take that down, which makes you think that Hunter Hamrick will be on the bag for Nick Dunlap. All right, I was multitasking because we got a contingent coming in to be in the studio. Did I hear him right when he said that he would be making his pro debut at the AT&T Pebble Beach? That'll be next week. It's February 1st through the... Not the Farmers Insurance this upcoming week, but the AT&T Pebble Beach. The Farmers, he was going to play the Farmers as an amateur this week. He was going to stay out in California. But when he won the American Express, that changed and he came back. So next week, he'll be making his debut as a pro at one of the most famous, iconic golf courses in the world, Pebble Beach, for the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. So that's the latest. Still to come on the show, Alabama basketball, Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan to go to the Los Angeles Chargers. But up next, in-studio guest to talk about a huge event coming to Tuscaloosa and Stillman College. The Gulf Coast Athletic Conference basketball tournament's coming up here in just a few weeks right here in Tuscaloosa. We'll visit with the commissioner of the GCAC next right here on the Gary Harris Show. Doesn't wait for when your finances are in perfect order. It just happens. But no matter what surprises come your way, Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. They offer an easy application process and fast decisions so you can stay focused on feeling good about whatever life brings your way. Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. Alabama Credit Union, loans for real life. Visit alabamacu.com to learn more. Some rules and restrictions apply. See if you're eligible for membership, then join today and feel good about your money. As much as Innisfree has evolved, it will always be that place to escape and have a good time. Whether it's for a game day weekend, to reminisce on college days, or to create new memories, if you're looking for a good time, there's only one thing to do. Head to the Free at 1925 University Boulevard. And don't forget about the Lucky Lunch Meat and 3 special. Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. Get a meat and 3 vegetables for just $8.49. Or for a lighter appetite, try the Lucky Lunch soup, salad, or sandwich combo. I'll see you at the Free.
Roll Tide, the best sports talk, period. Your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
We we go. Let's do a little live radio. It's live all the time, but we've got a studio full of people this morning. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show here on Tide 100.9 FM and 1230 AM. WTBC, your home for University of Alabama sports. Gary Harris, Justin Jones there, manning the controls. And we're excited this morning because we've got some great guests in the studio. Now, we're only going to be talking with the commissioner, Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes of the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. But we've got other guests in here, Chelsea Barton from Visit Tuscaloosa, Chris Meggetson from Stillman College. And we've got a big event coming up. It is the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference basketball tournaments at Stillman College's Birthright Alumni Hall from February 28th through the 3rd of March. This is both the men and the women, the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference that Stillman has recently joined. And what an honor to have the conference tournaments in Tuscaloosa at Stillman College, the first year that Stillman's a member. Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes is in studio. She's the commissioner of the conference. Good morning, Dr. Barnes. How are you?
Good morning. Excited to be here today.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you. And we were out. I sent Drew Pavon out to interview yesterday for the TV side, and we had a clip on last night, but we can go in depth this morning because we got about 15 minutes that we can talk. First of all, for people that aren't familiar with the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, obviously most people are familiar with Stillman College, but talk about how Stillman applied for, gained membership of the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, and that led to these tournaments coming here to Tuscaloosa in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, I would say for those who are listening in, has a very similar footprint to the SEC. We're in Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina also. And also we have one U.S. territory, University of Virgin Islands. We are a conference of HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities. And so Stillman is the only HBCU here in Tuscaloosa. So it was really important in terms of our footprint that we had an opportunity to court them and have them come and join the conference. And again, just Tuscaloosa in general is just, I feel like, centrally located between all of our members. So when we think about economic impact and people coming into the city to support, this is such a great location. It literally is like dead center of all of our members. So getting Stillman into the conference was really critical because you want to have a home team.
That's right.
And we're really excited that Stillman's going to be our host. They actually start with us July 1, so they'll be officially a member. But we are very, very excited about having them join us and being a part of what we're building.
Yeah, well, what a great tip-off to them joining the conference to have the tournament here. Obviously, the HBCU connection, the historical significance of that, but with Stillman coming in the conference too, and the NAIA affiliation, because I know when Stillman was Division II NCAA, there was some concern about going NAIA, but it's been one of the best things that's ever happened, I think, to Stillman College athletics. And the NAIA, explain a little bit about it, but it is a thriving division for college athletics.
Absolutely. So the NAIA stands for National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, and we have an association of about 248 members, I believe, all across the country. When you think about the membership of the NAIA, most of our schools are small, private institutions that usually have some type of religious affiliation. So I think Stillman has Presbyterian affiliation and church support, and most of our schools have some type of religious support. So we're really excited because it's a great place for students to have an opportunity to also compete for national championships. What makes this conference championship so important is this is the gateway to going to nationals. So we have, in terms of how our championships work and qualification, we will have 2 teams from our conference have an opportunity to go to the national tournament and win a national championship. We're hoping that our conference is going to produce a national champion in basketball at some point. We certainly have had schools be able to represent and be ranked top 25 in basketball over the years. Last year, Tougaloo was our conference champion, and they wound up being one of the top 8. They made it to the top 8. They lost to the winner of the championship. So we've had a history conference-wise of schools being able to go to the national tournament and compete. So it's really exciting. The NAIA is a great championship. Their tournament, the NAIA tournament, is held in Kansas City. The men's basketball tournament has been there for years and was one of the longest running basketball tournaments even before the NCAA tournament. So it's storied in Kansas City, and we're looking forward to being able to have our champion go there.
Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes, Commissioner of the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, in studio with us. She's visiting Tuscaloosa from New Orleans, where the conference office is, to promote the upcoming GCAC 2024 Hope Credit Union Women's and Men's Basketball Championships right here in Tuscaloosa at the historic Birthright Alumni Hall. Now, Dr. Barnes already alluded to this, but what a great conference in terms of the regional tie-ins. The member institutions are Dillard University in New Orleans, Fisk University in Nashville, Oakwood University in Huntsville, Philander Smith University in Little Rock, Arkansas, Rust College in Holly Springs, Mississippi, Southern University in New Orleans, Talladega College, of course, just up the road here in Talladega, Tougaloo College in Tougaloo, Mississippi, University of the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas Virgin Islands, and Wiley College in Marshall, Texas. Stillman is joining July 2024.
Yeah.
As is Voorhees University out of Denmark, South Carolina, and Wilberforce University, all HBCUs. Now, we got Chelsea Barton in here from Visit Tuscaloosa. I want to ask you, Dr. Barnes, about the economic impact for not just Stillman, but for Tuscaloosa and this area. This is going to be a huge event in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. And partnerships with Visit Tuscaloosa and Stillman make this possible. We're looking at about $750,000. We'll be bringing, hotels will be packed. You know, we'll get a chance to go and visit, some key places and eat in nice restaurants. And I just have to say, yesterday, we had a wonderful lunch at the Urban Kitchen. Urban Bar and Kitchen. Let me tell you, I think that was I have not had salmon that good ever.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, I told my husband last night, I know Louisiana cooks well, but I'm starting to think Alabama.
How about that?
Hey, Alabama, I think your rival. New Orleans, let me say that, because in Louisiana it's like there's New Orleans and then there's Louisiana. So I'm going to say New Orleans, but let me tell you what, we had a great experience, and now all of our teams will have an opportunity to experience the culture, the city, the food.
Yes, ma'am.
The food. Can I just say that again?
There's outstanding restaurants in this town, and yeah, we're excited about and that's another thing. All of these student athletes that are going to be introduced to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Many of whom, you never know, they might come back here because of their experience in this tournament to work and live.
Yes.
It's just so many different connections that this tournament, and listen too, from the sports standpoint, the historical significance of the HBCUs and all that, but from a sports standpoint, this is a sports town. I mean, this is the thing. This is Roll Tide, you got Stillman, you got Shelton State. I mean, athletics, high school athletics. People in this area love their sports, Dr. Barnes.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. And let me say this, and I'm going to put this out to the community. We're looking for a home. We want somewhere where we can connect, and we want to build in a community. So we are hoping that Tuscaloosa is that community. We are really, really, really excited that Tuscaloosa, Chris, I think you brought this up yesterday, that there's a major conference championship in all of the major cities in Alabama, and now Tuscaloosa can tout that they have the GCAC Conference Basketball Championship.
And that just rolls off the tongue, too. GCAC Conference Tournament Basketball Championships. I like the way that comes off the tongue. Hey, Dr. Barnes, what about, you mentioned trying to find maybe a permanent home, but for this tournament, which is now within a couple of weeks, like I said, February 28th, well, say a month, but it's here before you know it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that go into running an event like this. If people want to get involved, if volunteers want to help, is there a way that they can do that?
Yes. So we are excited. Visit Tuscaloosa is doing a lot of work to help us with volunteers. You can go to our website, www.gcaconf.com. It will take you to the Tournament Central page. You can get more information there, how to buy tickets. Interested in volunteering, they can reach out to us there. We can get them in contact with the correct, with the team there. But we're really excited. www.gcaconf.com. That's where you can get all the information that you need. Stay tuned to Tournament Central. We're excited to be here with Visit Tuscaloosa, with Stillman College, to have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You already alluded to this, and of course last fall we covered the press conference to announce that this tournament was coming. But how unique is it that for a college like Stillman College, who is not yet a member, but will be becoming a member. But to already be hosting the tournament prior to their membership, that's a pretty big deal.
Well, yeah, and I think it's just for me, like a coming out party.
Yeah.
So, they just hired a new president, Dr. Yolanda Page. I had the privilege to work with Dr. Page when I was at Dillard University. Mm-hmm. So you just got a new leader who is coming in, looking to develop those relationships and trying to figure out a way to show how they bring value to the community as well. And so I think that new leadership, having a big opportunity, having all of the members, 20 teams travel to the city, I think shows just how the importance, I would say, of relationship buildings and how when you have good, solid relationships that you can really make a difference. And so I think it's great for Stillman College. We get a chance to get into that facility and people can see what it feels like and how their hospitality works. And it's going to be amazing. We stream our games live. We have a live broadcast with HBCU Plus. So we've got play-by-play commentary. I mean, it's just going to be a fantastic way to put the institution on display and for everyone to see the greatness that exists at Stillman College.
All right. As you said, you've been here since yesterday. These 2 days are very important too, because this has been you've met with high school athletic directors and coaches, community leaders, obviously media people. Yes. You're doing a media circuit, but getting up here for these couple of information days, how vital, the importance of these 2 days in preparing for this event coming up in about a month.
Oh, it is critical. And I will tell you, just from a strategic standpoint, this year, I've had the opportunity, we're hosting our championships all around, I would say within our footprint. And so we also host our cross country championship here, in Alabama as well, in Decatur. And we also had an opportunity to go there and meet with critical partners. And one of the things I said in an address to the Kiwanis there, I said, it's about building community. We're not looking to go somewhere and have just an event come 1 year and then leave. Right. We're looking to establish partnerships with cities, with communities that will allow us to build, and it's win-win. It's win-win. We're able to help increase economic development in the areas where we go, as well as have our teams have an opportunity to have experiences that are top-notch, as well as develop those relationships. So this is what it's about. It's about building community, and I hope that the Tuscaloosa community is ready to embrace and work with us as we do that. And that takes time, so we would have to sign a multi-year deal. Well, I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, you are definitely getting the message across that you don't want this to be a one-time deal here in Tuscaloosa. So we'll stress that too. And again, folks, it's the Hope Credit Union Gulf Coast Athletic Conference basketball tournaments coming to Stillman College. 18 games, 20 teams, February 28th through March 3rd. It's a historic Birthright Alumni Hall. And let's be clear on this, and then I'm going to talk about tickets, because obviously we want fan support too. Yeah. Stillman is a soon-to-be member, so Stillman will not be competing in the tournament this year, but will be hosting. That's right. They will be hosting. But then going forward after this one, they're going to be a full-fledged member and tournaments forward. So it's a great way to introduce the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. All right, as far as tickets are concerned, you can go to GCAconference.com. That's GCACONF.com. That's the tournament website. Tickets can be purchased at GoStillman.com. You can get a daily package. You can get a package for the entire tournament Wednesday through Saturday. Yeah. And then the championships will be Sunday, March 3rd at 2 and 5 p.m. And $100 gets you in all 18 games. Now that's what I would call a bundle.
That's a bundle.
But now, you don't have to go to all 18 games, but if you get that bundle, you can go to all the games that you want to, and you may want to go to all 18. I think that's an excellent idea. Yeah. You certainly don't have to go to all the games. You don't have to purchase tickets, but if you just say, hey, I want to be available to go anytime I want, just pay that $100 and the doors are open to you.
Yeah, and that's what we want to make it convenient and affordable. So I feel like we're doing both. We want to see kids out. That's the other thing. Having an opportunity to see student athletes compete, I think is amazing. And of course, like I said, you have have other institutions that are here. So it's not that doesn't exist, but the championship environment is an electric environment. It is going to be a lot of fun. I mean, it's one and done.
Right.
So, I mean, everything's for every game, it's do or die. And I think that adds to the suspense, the excitement of, what do they say? The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
That's right.
I mean, you get that in every game. So, we've got great basketball. We're really excited. And I will say, I'm thinking about the teams as we were coming over. I was like, who's leading right now? Talladega actually is number one team right now on the men's basketball side. And I was like, okay, Alabama won for the home team. You just never know how that's going to play out. So, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so Talladega is the favorite going in. But you know what?
So far.
I always like to say, too, that's the great thing about sports, though. The best team doesn't always win.
Not always.
The best team always want to be boring.
Yeah.
So it doesn't always happen. Again, tickets can be purchased at GoStillman.com. GCAC tickets, $25 a day, 4 games per day, Wednesday through Saturday. The championship Sunday, March 3rd, will be at 2 and 5 p.m. $100 gets you into all 18 games. Again, February 28th through March the 3rd. Before we wrap it up, Dr. Barnes, you got Chris Megason, the assistant AD for media relations at Stillman, making the rounds with you. He does a great job here promoting Stillman College, and I'm sure he's been a big help to you the last couple of days.
Yeah, we're grateful to have Chris to be a part of our team. Thank you so much, Chris. Yes.
Yeah, Chelsea's in here, and introduce this young lady that's with you again. We met downstairs, but I want you to, we need to acknowledge her too.
Absolutely. My director of strategic communications for the conference, Danny Wright. We're excited for her. I think you're completing a year now. She just made a full year with the conference. So very, very excited to have her join us, and collectively we are working together to make this thing happen.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. And as I said, we did a TV interview yesterday that ran at 10 last night, and we'll run some more tonight on the sports as well on WVUA 23. All right, we got to get to our break, and thank our entire contingent here from Stillman and from the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. We gave you all the information. Support this event. If you're a sports fan, obviously support it. But even if you're not a sports fan, it's and real quickly, I'll let you speak to this too. It's a cultural event too, and you kind of mentioned that, but you don't have to be a sports fan to have fun and enjoy what's coming up here.
We're going to have a blast. And we also have, we didn't talk about this, but I'm going to throw that in there. We have an admissions fair. That's kind of one of our cute community engagement activities that we're doing this year. We're looking to have the schools bring students out to learn more about institutions and participate in the Tiger Fest Day that Stillman is putting on. So we're really excited about that. So that's, one of our first pillars, I say, of community engagement. I believe the children are our future. We have to connect with them. So this is a great way for us to do that.
Well, thank you all so much for coming in, and I'm sure we'll be visiting prior to the tournament. Thanks.
Yes, thanks.
All right, we'll be back with more of the Gary Harris Show right here on Tide 100.9 FM, 1230 AM, WTBC, your home for Alabama sports. Tuscaloosa's Old Colony Golf Course is an 18-hole championship layout designed by 1976 U.S. Open champion Jerry Pate. Director of Golf John Gray and fitting specialist Bob Montgomery are PGA certified. Mike Shivitz is the head professional and director of the Tuscaloosa Junior Golf Program. Call today to secure a tee time at the Tuscaloosa Championship Golf Course. Everyone can play. 205-562-3201. Old Colony is operated by Para. If you haven't already, you've got to try Tuscaloosa's unique breakfast, brunch, and lunch concept. Brick and Spoon, downtown Tuscaloosa, Timerson Square. It's fresh food with a Cajun flair featuring a full bar with build-your-own Bloody Marys and mimosas. Open daily, 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. Available for after-hours events, rehearsal dinners, receptions, and birthdays. They offer brunch and lunch catering. Call Brick and Spoon at 205-345-5551 for more information.
eBay Motors is
Los Tarascos has been serving Mexican favorites like burritos, fajitas, and quesadillas since 1999. Their new location is at 4100 Owen Parkway in Northport. And of course, you can find Los Tarascos in Tuscaloosa at 110 Skyland Boulevard. The bar areas feature big screen television so you can enjoy your favorite sporting events. Los Tarascos features daily happy hour specials. And for the best Mexican cuisine in West Alabama, remember, the name is Los Tarascos with locations in Tuscaloosa and Northport.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The flash flood watch remains in effect today and tonight. Cloudy with occasional rain, maybe a few strong thunderstorms. The high today 70, tonight's low 60. Tomorrow cloudy, a chance of rain mainly during the morning hours. The high tomorrow at 68. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 65 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You're listening to the Gary Harris Show.
Goal line in, touchdown, Alabama.
your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 9:53. Really excited that we could promote that huge event that's coming up here in Tuscaloosa, the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference basketball tournaments. Be here in about a month at the Birthright Auditorium, and have the conference commissioner in studio with us, and hopefully while they're here, Justin, Chelsea's with them, Chelsea Barton, she knows everybody, and hopefully they'll make get some interviews with the other, we had an entire cluster of stations here, as you know, and hopefully they'll get some more publicity that way. But I tell you what, Justin, we hit the ground running this morning. We jumped right in with the press conference with Nick Dunlap, then this live, they're all live, but the in-studio interview. And so now the second hour, we're going to kind of settle back into a rhythm a little bit. And so it'll be an excellent time to get through with phone calls. We really haven't had an opportunity for phone calls this morning, but we will in hour number 2, because we'll settle back in, and to kind of give you an idea of what we're going to be talking about in that second hour, we'll have Jeff Spiegel, Spiegs will be with us at 9:30, ABC 3340, at 10:30, I should say. And we'll hear from Nate Oates, Alabama basketball coach. Might even hear from Bruce Pearl, but we got Oates clipped up, but we might run a little Bruce Pearl too, but Justin's got Oates ready to run. And we're going to talk about the Jim Harbaugh situation with leaving Michigan for the Chargers. And I read up quite a bit on that last night from the Shifters and the help me out. Got used to work for AL.com with NFL Network now.
Rappaport,
yeah.
He used to work with AL.com?
Yeah, I knew him way back in the day. Yeah. He sure was. And that's how he got cooked up. The story there is he covered Alabama, and I think Nick Saban used to have a little fun. Ian's a great guy. But he'd always ask the tough questions, and he'd say, I think Saban had a lot of respect for him, though. I think Saban really helped him get the job. He went to Boston to cover the Patriots. And with Belichick, and then that led to the NFL network job as their insider, and now he's huge. But I read up a lot of that, so a lot of people are asking why would Harbaugh leave after winning a national championship after Michigan was trying to make him the highest paid coach in college football history. But the Chargers, man, listen, I'm telling you that they did not take no for an answer. I mean, they laid it out for him. And the Spanos family just flat out just made it an offer that he couldn't refuse. So we'll get into that. And as I said yesterday, we talked about the coaching staff. We'll get into the Ryan Williams commitment and what it means, but also the fact that we got that roster breakdown that we got off of TiderInsider.com from RTR, one of the posters there, and we're going to run down some of these players in Alabama's depth chart. Not a depth chart, but just kind of what the roster looks like right now. And so all that's coming up in the second hour. So we got a big second hour ahead. Before we close this one out, I do want to mention the YMCA of Tuscaloosa. Listen, you got about a week left to join with no joining fee. Just go down to the Y, sign up, get your membership started, and start getting fit for the summer. Do it now. The YMCA of Tuscaloosa, 2300 13th Street. All right, this hour of the Gary Harris Show has been brought to you by Alabama Credit Union. Member-owned and not-for-profit. It's just a better way of banking. Find out more at alabamacu.com. All right. Big first hour in the books. Second hour, more of our normal type format, so we can take some phone calls. The Krispy Kreme Donuts hotline will be open for business in the second hour, 205-342-9904. So keep it dialed in. The Gary Harris Show will continue on Tide 100.9 FM and 1230 AM, WTBC, your home for Alabama sports. Since 2011, Billy's Sports Grill, located on Main Avenue in historic downtown Northport, has been serving their legendary signature chicken sandwich, award-winning wings, and handcrafted cocktails. Billy's is also the spot to watch all your favorite sporting events with big screen, high-definition televisions in both dining rooms, at the bar, and outside on the beautiful patio. Come by and say hello to Kim and Lisa, the Billy's Management Dream Team. Billy's, good food, good friends, and good time.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
from the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Kevin Wyatt.
Some NBA news this morning. It apparently is official as The Athletic reporting that Doc Rivers is signing a contract through the 26-27 NBA season worth up to $40 million to become the Bucks' next head coach. Other news in the head coaching this morning, Wes Unseld Jr. no longer the head coach of the Washington Wizards, a team announcing they're moving him into a front office advisory role. ESPN is reporting that it'll be Brian Keefe taking over as the interim coach, and the team will make a full search for a full-time head coach this upcoming off-season. And some NFL news this morning as ESPN reporting that former Dolphins defensive coordinator Vic Fangio is currently on his way to Philadelphia to officially sign a contract to become the Eagles' next defensive coordinator.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
There is a marginal 1 in 5 risk for severe weather today across West Alabama, but rain the main culprit. 3 inches so far, another 2 to 3 inches possible, bringing a flash flood watch from now till Saturday afternoon. A flood warning in effect for area rivers in Green Hale, Marengo, and Sumter counties. The first use of a safe haven box in Alabama for mothers to place babies they cannot raise has taken place in Madison near Huntsville. A similar box is in the works at the Tuscaloosa Fire Rescue Station number 1 on Greensboro Avenue downtown.
Get 24/7 local news coverage and sports updates when you download the free Tuscaloosa Thread app and sign up for twice daily email newsletters. The Gary Harris Show. You see him host Tider Insider TV, Crimson Tide Kickoff, play-by-play for Alabama sports, and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for the Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show, hour number 2, right here on Tide 100.9 FM, 1230 AM WTBC, your home for Alabama sports. I'm Gary Harris. Of course, I got my main man, Justin Jones. I certainly could not do the show without him. And we were busy, like I said, in that first hour. Little bit different type of show. We went live to Nick Dunlap press conference. I'm so glad we could do that. That's history, what we heard this morning. An amateur golfer coming off a win on the PGA Tour, turning professional, and starting his career at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am coming up next week. So looking forward to that. And then, of course, to have Commissioner Barnes and Dr. Kiki Baker Barnes in for the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference to promote the basketball tournaments, which are coming up at Stillman College in about a month. But we're back to normal this hour. We're back to normal. We're going to be taking phone calls. In fact, we'll get to a call here in just a second. But I do need to let you know that this hour of the Gary Harris Show brought to you as always by Patterson Comer Law Firm. Patterson Comer Attorneys at Law, Paul Patterson and Mike Comer, feet on the ground in West Alabama. That is all you need to know. They'll be here for you. Not just an 800 number that you call, you talk to a lawyer, you never even meet them. Yeah, they might get a settlement for you, but how good is it really going to be? You know, they're probably going to take the first thing that's offered. Instead of being patient, meeting with your lawyer in person. And if you do have to go to court, they'll be with you every step of the way, and you'll deal with Paul Patterson or Mike Comer, not a little young attorney right out of law school that you never meet. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Everybody's got to start their career. But what I'm saying is experience counts. Feet on the ground in West Alabama counts. Find out more at PattersonComerLawFirm.com. Reach Paul in Tuscaloosa at 205-345-1000. Mike's in Northport at 205-759-3939. Toll free from anywhere, 866-507-9091. Personal injury attorneys that care. PattersonComerLawFirm.com.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of services performed by other lawyers.
And we are going to get this second hour started off by jumping out on the Krispy Kreme Donuts hotline and visiting with Tom. Hey, Tom, good morning.
Gary, good show this morning.
Thanks.
Very interesting. The commissioner, her personality.
Great.
Coming through the right, man, fantastic individual. And kudos to her. What a great salesman.
I agree 100%. Got me fired up, man. Looking forward.
I know it. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, and a lot of historical significance with the HBCUs, and then also economic impact and athletics. It's going to be a great event. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with you.
And did you get to listen? So you got to listen to Nick Dunlap? I think we all knew what was coming, but it was nice to kind of hear him lay it out. And, he's 20 years old, but the thing that strikes me is if you were just listening to him talk and didn't know he was 20 years old, you would think probably early 30s. I mean, he's got a maturity about him that's, I think, going to serve him well out there on that tour.
Well, the composure,
exactly.
I was thinking if that was me and I had won the club championship at Aliceville, I'd be bouncing off the wall, much less a PGA event. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And the composure, and being able to, just kind of take. I just gave up $1.5 million right in stride, not let him affect him in a negative way. I mean, just so many positives. From the personality and character of this young man is fantastic.
Indeed, it really is. And, this week we've been talking about it, and I know there were a lot of Alabama fans that, wanted to think, well, maybe he could come back and play one more year. But, Tom, I think you and I, that people that follow golf the way we do, we knew. I mean, he just won on the PGA Tour. I mean, at that point, as much as I'm sure he would have loved to have been with his teammates and try to lead Alabama to a national championship, there's still no guarantee you're going to win the national championship, even with Nick Dunlap. So, you got to go now, man. That's just the way it is.
That's right. You're exactly right.
Yeah. You got to go.
I was, he wasn't talking to me, but Ken Venturi, that used to be an analyst on CBS Golf, I was at Colonial Country Club in Fort Worth, and I was walking with Tom Kite's mother and dad during the tournament, and they were friends with Ken Venturi. When he saw him, he came over there, and he was talking to him, and they were talking about some young guy on the thing and on the tour, and Ken made this statement. I thought it would be interesting. I thought about it a long time while I've been watching golf. He said, in golf, you had better strike while the iron's hot because you do not know. He says, such a fickle freaking guy.
Absolutely.
He said, you never know when something's going to fade. And even back then, when he was talking, he said, a fade of a couple of strokes is thousands of dollars.
Oh, listen, Tom, I'm glad because Ken Venturi was an awesome analyst and had been a great player. But you know what? Yeah. You said something that's so true, and you never know when that window is going to close. I mean, who would have predicted that Justin Thomas wouldn't win a tour event last year? Who would have predicted that David Duvall went from being one of the best players in the world to seemingly overnight losing his game and couldn't make a cut? There are no guarantees.
There you go. I thought this when Justin was playing well and winning. I thought that he should have just kept on grinding. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know everything. And but he would take off and go home and take off for a few weeks. And I didn't think that helped Justin. But that's me. I don't know everything, but that's just an opinion. But, yeah, you're right. I think that the game is such a strange game to begin with that, you never know what's going to happen with it. You know that. I know that. I've seen it.
Yeah, we've seen it, and that's the point that you're making. The Tiger Woods and the Jack Nicklauses, the Tom Watsons, they're few and far between. Guys that were dominant in their 20s and played up and were dominant into their 40s, and Tom Watson, let's be honest, he should have won the Open Championship when he was either 58 or 59. He hit a great 7-iron in there on that last hole, and it hit the green and went over the green. He wound up making bogey, and Stewart sinking him in the playoff. But those guys are rare. Most of these guys, especially the young players that are really strong, whether it's the money, a lot of them fade. A lot of them fade by their mid-30s. So, he's right now, he is at the top of his game. He's only going to get better. There's no reason to believe that at 20 years of age, he's already a PGA Tour winner. I got every reason to believe, Tom, that he'll turn pro next week, and I think he'll win again this year. He may win multiple times. I mean, This guy is, and you know how you and I both feel about Justin Thomas. I mean, Justin Thomas is 15 tour wins at his age, 2 majors, a Players Championship. But we're looking at Nick Dunlap, and I think the potential is to be even better than that.
He's different. He is wired different, and I say that because you look at his demeanor, his mentality, his attitude, his composure, and everything. Even Sunday, the composure of being able to finish off that tournament in that fashion, it tells me a lot about this guy right here. They don't come along very often, and I'm reluctant to put anybody in the category with Tiger Woods. He's close, though. He is very close, and but anyway. I thought he would go pro. I sure did. You just can't turn that opportunity down.
You can't.
Especially with, Casey was talking about it Monday, and I want to go back to this, and it's got to be part of the decision making, is the elevated tournaments, the strategy that they present to somebody like Nick. Now he's in, it's guaranteed money. It's not like it used to be. Elevated tournaments have changed a lot on PGA.
It has. And two for Alabama. Yeah, Alabama golf loses its best player, and they go from a team that would be one of the favorites to win the national championship to a good team. I don't know how good they'll be, but think about the publicity. Think about now the young golfers that are out there that have seen Nick Dunlap and are going to want to say, hey, especially with this golf course that they're building here for Alabama golf, think about how much that is worth to this program in terms of publicity and going forward. Every time Tommy plays an event, when he's playing at that AT&T Pebble Beach, how many times do you think the University of Alabama is going to be mentioned when they're talking about Nick Dunlap? Over and over and over again, man. It's just a huge shot in the arm for what is already a great program. In the short term, this spring, it's going to, the Alabama golf is not going to be as good. But in the big picture, it's going to be unbelievable for what it's going to do for the program.
That was my favorite thing, Gary, is he said there will always be a script A on my bag. That's just so cool.
How about that? Yeah. So it's awesome, man.
Every time Jay Sewell, Coach Sewell, gets on the air, he speaks. It just, and this has got to be one of the best recruiting tools there is. It's the reason that people like Davis Love and the third and all these past pros and everything think the world of Jay Sewell, and they want their child to come and be part of his program. It's because that when he gets on the air, whether it be TV, radio, whatever, that he's got the student that is under his tutelage, their best interest in his heart. And you cannot deny that, and it doesn't come any better than how he projects himself and his program to the outside world.
That's just right, and Jay Sewell just supported him. Let me give an example of what this is like, because we don't see it as often in golf. For some people that's saying, well, he's getting NIL money, why didn't he come back and play at Alabama? It's just like when Nick Saban would say, if you're going to be, a top 5 pick, you go. Same thing with Brandon Miller last year. Everyone knew that Brandon Miller was going to be a high lottery pick. He turned out to be the 2nd overall pick in the NBA draft. As good as he was, as much as you enjoyed watching him play, you understood he was going to the NBA because he couldn't, his stock couldn't go any higher. Other than, I guess, to be the number 1 overall pick. Same thing now with Nick Dunlap. I mean, there's just nothing left now for him at the college level. He's a pro. He just won a PGA Tour event. Even if he played well in that event, finished in the top 10, top 15, he's back playing at Alabama this year. But he won it. That changed everything. Even if he makes bogey on that last hole and winds up losing in a playoff, maybe he comes back. Maybe he wouldn't have, but he might have. But when he won, that sealed the deal, Tom. And I think everybody's pumped up and excited about it.
Thank you, Gary.
All right, thank you, Tom. All right, it's 10:14 here on the Gary Harris Show. This hour being brought to you by Patterson Comer Attorneys at Law. And we got Jeff Spiegel coming up at 10:30. And in the next segment, we can take more phone calls on the Krispy Kreme Donuts hotline, 205-342-9904. And we're also going to finally get into some of this Nate Oates audio, the Alabama basketball coach, talking about that really tough, hard-fought win, 79-75 over the in-state rival Auburn Tigers last night. And it puts Alabama back in a tie for first place in the SEC, and it's just a huge win. And Alabama's got another home game coming up Saturday against LSU. We'll be back after this.
Already, you've got to try Tuscaloosa's unique breakfast, brunch, and lunch concept. Brick and Spoon, downtown Tuscaloosa, Timerson Square. It's fresh food with a Cajun flair featuring a full bar with build-your-own Bloody Marys and mimosas. Open daily, 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. Available for after-hours events, rehearsal dinners, receptions, and birthdays. They offer brunch and lunch catering. Call Brick and Spoon at 205-345-5551 for more information.
Patterson.
Tuscaloosa's Old Colony Golf Course is an 18-hole championship layout designed by 1976 U.S. Open champion Jerry Pate. Director of Golf John Gray and fitting specialist Bob Montgomery are PGA certified. Mike Shivitz is the head professional and director of the Tuscaloosa Junior Golf Program. Call today to secure a tee time at the Tuscaloosa Championship Golf Course. Everyone can play. 205-562-3201. Old Colony is operated by Para.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The flash flood watch remains in effect today and tonight. Cloudy with occasional rain, maybe a few strong thunderstorms. The high today 70, tonight's low 60. Tomorrow cloudy, a chance of rain mainly during the morning hours. The high tomorrow at 68. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 65 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Where the season never ends. This is your home of Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 10:18. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. And I'm going to quick word or two on Ryan Williams because I've been talking about the guy. I said when I saw him a couple years ago that he might be as exciting an offensive player as I've seen in a long time in high school football in Alabama. I rank him up there with, some of the best. And for Alabama to kind of get him to recommit is a big pickup for the Crimson Tide. I'm going to try to explain it to you in this context. Even under Nick Saban, there are so many good players that have come in here that, you get used to seeing 5 stars. You get used to seeing guys, and some of them don't pan out. But even among 5 stars, there are special players. And, Caleb Downs is an example. I think Alabama fans should be excited that he went to Ohio State and not Georgia. Even though you hate to lose him, the only way you'll play Ohio State is if you play him in the playoff. Georgia's coming in here in September. Caleb Downs is one of those players that he tilts the field. And what I mean is you knew when you signed him that he was special. And not only do you have him playing for you, which makes your team better, you don't have to play against him. Julio Jones was that kind of guy. David Palmer was that kind of guy. Certainly if you want to go way back, even though he wasn't as well known, there wasn't as much, the recruiting industry was in its infancy, and he was not as big a name as you might think coming out of high school. But I think people at Alabama and Auburn knew, both coaching staffs knew that when Auburn got Bo Jackson was going to tilt the field. And he was going to, he in essence helped kind of flip that rivalry. Alabama had dominated, winning 9 straight from 73 through 81. And in the 1982, Bo's freshman year, he has a big game and goes over the top, and Auburn beats Alabama 23-22. If Bo Jackson's playing for Alabama that game, Alabama wins that game. You probably should have won it anyway, but Alabama wins that game. Coach Bryant wins his last game against Auburn. That's how, good he was. Same thing with Julio Jones. Julio Jones coming to Alabama, 2008, they go 12-0 in the regular season. 2009, they win the national championship. David Palmer, when he came to Alabama for Gene Stallings, I'm telling you, David Palmer won some games by himself, basically. Go back and check out what I'm talking about. Iron Bowl 91. He had the only touchdown in the game, and it was just an unbelievable 9-yard run that really he just did by himself. The 93 Ole Miss game, had to come in and play quarterback. I think Ryan Williams is that kind of player. I think Ryan Williams, for Alabama, the minute he gets on the field, he makes you better, and he could kind of flip the field, and you don't have to play against him either. which is, at least you don't right now. The portal always, just like with Caleb Downs, bad thing about the portal is a guy that's playing for you one year could be playing against you the next, but you'll hope that he'll play well and he'll do his 3 years here and then go on to the NFL. So that's why it's such a big pickup. He's not just a good player. He's not just a 5-star on paper. Ryan Williams, in my opinion. And listen, I think Jalen Mbakwe is right there too. And Mbakwe is he's going to be a cornerback probably on defense, but he also can help you in the kicking game. You can install him in offense. Alabama signed, in my opinion, the 2 most dynamic playmakers in the state this year in the same class. And I know that Perry Thompson from Foley is a big wide receiver that's going to Auburn, and then the kid from Central Phoenix City, what's his name, Justin? That's going to Auburn as well. Really, really, really good player. But they're bigger. They're different types of guys. I got to look that up. That drives me crazy when he had been committed to A&M, then he wound up signing with Auburn. I'll pull it up here. Cam Coleman. Yeah, Cam Coleman's a dynamic player. But as far as just pure playmaking ability, I think that Ryan Williams and Mbakwe are guys that you're going to love watching. All right, 10:22. Phone lines are open on the Krispy Kreme Donuts hotline, 205-342-9904. All right, let's get to Nate Oates. Alabama wins a game that not only is a rivalry game, but it's a big win for Alabama trying to win another SEC championship. And they got it done. Fell behind 14-6, then wound up leading 44-30 at half. Then Auburn came back in the second half and took the lead. But Alabama made the plays down the stretch that the Tide had to make and gets the win 78-75. Let's hear the opening comments last night following the game from Alabama head coach Nate Oates.
Shoot, that's a good team. They're really good. We didn't come out ready to play. They punched us in the mouth out of the gate. We got to figure our starts out. We have not had good starts here for a long time. Ryland was really good off the bench. We needed him. It's kind of like we needed a big burst. He came in, gave us a big punch. I mean, kind of exactly what we wanted. I thought Charlie was pretty good as a starter. We're trying to get some guys to take care of the ball, have a couple more ball handlers out there as a starter. So we still had too many turnovers tonight, but I thought we showed some toughness that we had lacked up in Tennessee. Showed some fight, got down right out of the gate, showed some grit, fought through a little bit of adversity. Then we didn't have a good start to the second half again. And, got some guys in off the bench and turned it around again in the second half and started pulling out. And then they didn't go away. I mean, that's a tough team that's going to compete. And, they're still in first place in our league. So big win we needed, but we gotta get better at a lot of things here.
All right, I like what he said there. I really like to hear Coach Oates talk. Now sometimes I've noticed we talk about how blunt he is and direct, and with that gravelly voice, at times when I'm cutting up sound bites at the TV station to run a clip of, I have a hard time understanding him sometimes because sometimes but I like what he said, man. Great win, but let's don't get carried away. There's still a lot we need to do to get better, and he's right about that. He's not, we saw it. This team has had the ability to win some games, but we've seen them, we saw them Saturday get blown out in Knoxville. All right, a lot of talk about the lights, and the LED lights were on, and then they couldn't get the overhead lights on, and it caused a little bit of a delay. It caused a delay. But here's Coach Oates on talking about the lights and dealing with that and getting the game going.
They just said, and we got all the new lights in there. I guess they it's never happened. They didn't flip over from the red to the regular lights, and we were trying to figure out if we could play in the dark, and that we had to make sure that both ends had the same lighting, or it wouldn't have been fair. So we were trying to figure all that out and keep the guys warm. That was odd. I've never been involved with something like that. And then the competing part, I mean, you see a guy like Wrights will have 9 rebounds. A guy like Ryland Griffin came up big. I mean, he ends up being a plus 19 in the plus minus. Man, I 7 rebounds for him. Grant had his first double-double. Thought Jaron Stevenson really grew up these last 2 games. I thought he was one bright spot in Tennessee too, to be honest with you. But he guarded in there pretty well. I thought he was big. It's not like he scored a bunch of points or anything, but he's plus 12 when he's in the game. He played 22 minutes. And so we had some guys really step up, compete. Some other guys that didn't play well, I thought, we've been talking a lot about Mudita after Coach Murphy talked to the team, and I thought they were genuinely happy for the guys that were playing well and we're going to need some of those guys to play better on Saturday and continuing in order to win the SEC like we're trying to do.
All right, Coach Nate Oates, we're listening to some of his post-game comments from the big win last night over Auburn. Let's get to the clip, Justin, because this is a big one, about, bouncing back after the Tennessee game. Listen, it wouldn't have mattered if you lost the game by 1 point or they lost by 20, which they did. It's a loss. Still, when you get it handed to you like Alabama did in Knoxville, they got blown out. Then I think that your competitive juices as a player are I think it's probably easy to coach those guys after that, and to come back and bounce back the way they did. That speaks a lot to what type of team this team has a chance to be. Here's Nate Oates talking about that.
Yeah, I think it shows we do have some fight. We do have some guys that have some competitive juices to them. Look at a guy like Ryland and Sears and. I think we got some guys that don't want to lay down and just take L's. So, I told them our responses to some losses last year were 60 and 50-point wins. We weren't going to get a 60 or 50-point win over number 6 team in the country, but we were going to need an effort like we got after some losses last year to get a win period this year. And shoot, it was basically a one-possession game down to the wire. So it took a monumental effort, and we were a lot tougher than we were against Tennessee. And look, I should have said at the beginning, I said it on post-game radio, but the crowd was unbelievable. We needed the crowd tonight. They showed up in a big way. The noise levels got big. I think our guys play off, the crowd. We need the crowd to show up on Saturday. We need every home game in the SEC to look like that if we're going to try to win this thing, and we're tied for first place right now, so we're going after it again.
Indeed, they are going after it again. All right, 10:28, and we are going to take a timeout and come back with Jeff Spiegel, Spiegs, ABC 3340 sports anchor, host of The Zone. A lot to cover in this past week, man. So can't wait to kick it all around with Jeff Spiegel next, right here on Tide 100.9 FM, 1230 AM WTBC, the Tide 109 app, Tide109.com. The Gary Harris Show will continue.
Bring University of Alabama sports, as well as the national and local scene as well. The Gary Harris Show, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 10:32. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show on Tide 100.9 FM, 1230 AM WTBC, your home for Alabama sports, and it's Jeff Spiegel time. Every time you hear the Eagles, I'm going to visit with my pal, longtime sports anchor, ABC 3340 in Birmingham, host of The Zone. And, man, we got a little bit to kick around this morning, Jeff. Some Thursdays you come on and you're like, hey, what are we going to talk about for topics? My question this morning is, where do we start? I just ask you, where do you want to start? You want to start with Alabama-Auburn basketball? You want to start with Dunlap? You want to start with Ryan Williams? You want to start with Alabama coaching staff? Where do you want to go this morning to get it let off?
I want to start with Nick Dunlap.
Go for it.
I'm so excited for that guy. So excited. Gary, I know you're a big golf fan.
I am.
And I'm telling you, that Sunday, that tournament Sunday, I can't remember the last time I've been so excited about watching a sporting event on TV. It was so great. And I just think this guy is, I'm not the first person to say this, obviously, but I think this guy is a can't miss. On the PGA Tour, in terms of winning multiple majors, this guy's got every shot in the book. He's got the swagger. He's got the physical presence, out there. I'm telling you, this is a guy who's 20 years old, and on the 17th tee, he intimidated the crap out of a PGA Tour veteran, knocking it on the green, and then Burns gets up there and chunks it in the water. And I've talked to several people who have worked with him and know this guy. who say the same thing. He's just he's got it. He's got that it factor, and I just can't wait to see him, compete out there and win a bunch of tournaments, and like I said, win multiple majors.
Yeah, he's special. And, we've been talking about it all week. I know you have. And then we ran his press conference this morning and announced that he was turning pro. And I had Jay Sewell on earlier this week too. And, like you said, everybody was pulling for Nick. I mean, it was history, and his teammates were playing for him. Pulling for him, Sewell's pulling for him. But the reality of it is, who knows? Maybe if he misses that putt on 18 and winds up losing in a playoff, he's back at Alabama. Even though a second place finish would still been remarkable, you don't become a PGA Tour member by finishing second. I mean, that putt, while it was great, Alabama golf is not as strong on the course this year. You don't lose the best player in the country and get better. At the same time, Jeff, what this has meant for this program, all the publicity that they got during the tournament and this week, and now when he's at AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am next week, making his pro debut, Alabama golf is in the mainstream now. So yeah, you lose Nick Dunlap for this season, but what a shot in the arm for the program. They're building that beautiful new course. So I think it's a pretty good trade-off, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. We were talking on the Zone about, great moments in Alabama golf history, and I'm talking about in terms of, former Crimson Tiders on the PGA Tour. And, Jerry Payton, 1976, winning the U.S. Open with that, incredible approach shot.
Yeah, 3 feet.
Yeah. And then JT winning a couple of PGAs. And, it's right up there. Where you would rank them, it depends on, one's personal preference as to, what is bigger. Obviously, winning a U.S. Open, I think is number one at the age of 22, talking about Jerry Payton.
Right.
But, it's just amazing. And I've never met this young man. I've seen him up close and personal. The SEC championships were at the Country Club of Birmingham. And it was on my off day. And I said, you know what? I'm going to run out there and follow this guy around, shoot some video. I shot some video, sent it back into the station, but I saw this guy up close, and he's an incredible physical specimen, Gary. He's a big gym guy, I've heard, and he's just in great shape, and he's got a great mental approach to the game, and like I said, I just can't wait to see him play.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And, you're talking about Jerry Payton, and obviously Justin Thomas is now the most accomplished former Alabama golfer in PGA Tour history. But for a long time, it was Payton. And you mentioned that 5-iron he hit from the rough on the 18th hole at the Atlanta Athletic Club in 76 to win the U.S. Open, hit it to 3 feet. He was 22 years old. And by the time he was 28, in 1982, he had won 8 times on tour. He had won a U.S. Open. He won a Players Championship. I think he lost the PGA Championship in a playoff. I know he had a top 5 finish at the Masters. But basically, when he tore up his shoulder at 28, it wasn't over, but his playing at that level was over. So you think about what he might have accomplished. He was on a pace to do some amazing things in the game of golf, and Justin Thomas is doing it. But you're right, with Dunlap, you look at a guy now who's a 20-year-old PGA Tour winner, and it's foreseeable for him that by the time he's 30, Jeff, I don't know anybody's going to win like Tiger and Jack, but I could see this guy having 25 tour wins and 3 or 4 or 5 majors by the time he's 30 years old. Can you?
Yeah, I sure can. And I appreciate his press conference today and about how emotional he was, because, I know he felt like, I'm leaving the coach and the teammates kind of, but look, his teammates are so happy for this guy. Because, the PGA Tour is where they all want to be. They want to be there.
That's right.
So they're happy for a guy who has this talent, who can take it out there, who can represent, Alabama, extremely well. And he's such a high character dude, and just so excited for him. Really happy when I knew he was going to turn pro. I just knew he was. I don't think it was a no-brainer, like Jim Gallagher Jr. said on the Golf Channel the other day. I know there was a lot of thought that went into it, but just really excited for him and looking forward to what happens.
Yeah, and just think, a week from now, he's going to be teeing it up at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am at historic Pebble Beach as a professional, and we'll get to watch him play in his first pro tournament, and that's going to be awesome too. Hey, let's get to hoops. Listen, Alabama's a good team. There's no doubt about it, but they got it handed to them Saturday in Knoxville. And, it was when sometimes they say the score isn't indicative of the game. That score was indicative of the game. Alabama lost by 20 and they should have lost by 20. But you knew they were going to come back and play hard against Auburn at home. But still, the margin for error sometimes, it's so big that Alabama won that game last night because it gets them back to tied for first in the SEC. They've got a return trip in a couple weeks down to Auburn. It's going to be very tough to win at Neville Arena. So sometimes a shot or two or missed free throw, you play hard last night and you play with energy and you lose that game, you're reeling a little bit. That's 2 losses in a row. You've got to go to Auburn in a couple of weeks. You've already lost them at home. That was a huge win for Alabama last night, Jeff.
Yeah, it gives them a big quad 1 win. That they've, been having trouble winning those. And, they came out in the first half and what's the Alabama recipe for victory? They need to knock down the threes. They had 8 threes in the first half. Rylan Griffin was terrific. But I'll tell you the guy that I was impressed with and I've been kind of disappointed with him here in the early going is Grant Nelson. But, boy, late in the game, he took over the game.
He needed to,
He took over the game and and to me, he finally lived up to the hype. He got some big rebounds. He played tough. He played physical. He made a bad decision, fouling the 3-point shooter there. There were some issues. There were some replays as to, whether that was indeed a foul. I think it was. He hit his hand, but they caught a break when Baker Mazzara missed that free throw. But they made the plays down the stretch. They had to win. And it is a big win for them going forward. It gives them a lot of confidence. And, the Tennessee loss, I looked at that and I go, this is a Tennessee team that could win a national championship. I mean, they're an elite defensive team. They've got that special player, that you have to carry you a long way in March. So I looked at that and I wasn't really disappointed in Alabama that they lost that game by, a bunch of points. I kind of expected that they would in Knoxville. But for them to rebound like they did and win that game last night in the fashion that they did and being tested in the second half like they were, I thought it was pretty impressive.
Indeed. And, now you get to back it up with a home game against LSU on Saturday. And listen, Jeff, I still think Alabama's a good team. I mean, they lost so much from last year. I still kind of put Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee a notch above it. I'm saying that about a Kentucky team that got blown out at South Carolina. But I think Alabama, though, is right there. And the bottom line is, they're tied for first in the league. Do you see this? I guess what I'm asking is, I'll just ask it. Do you see this as an Alabama team that can compete for this SEC regular season championship? Or do you think that, they are going to fade at some point? How do you see them big picture as far as being in the hunt to win this conference championship?
Well, Nate Oates challenged them earlier in the week, and he asked the question in the press conference, is this just a talented team that's non-competitive? That when things get tough in a big game, they fold, and they proved, that they weren't. They got out to that big lead, they blew the big lead, but they managed to hold on at the end. And, a lot of guys were making plays. Wrightsell was making plays. Griffin making plays. Sears making plays. Sears is just, he's the straw that stirs the drink, man. I mean, he made some incredible passes there to set up Griffin, and he was fantastic. So, I mean, I think they've got all the ingredients to win the regular season title. Certainly they have to go back to Auburn, and that's not going to be an easy game to win. There are some tough games down the stretch they're going to have to play. But I think when this team, is making their threes, and they're playing defense, and they're getting after guys on the defensive end, and they just harassed, Holloway, and Donaldson. Broom hurt them, which, I kind of anticipated that, he probably would. He's a really good player. But I think this is a team that can do some special things still. But, they're still very much a work in progress.
All right, Jeff, let's get to the other big news yesterday. I mean, there's been so much of it this week, but you've seen him play, I've seen him play, and I've already gone on laid it all out how good I think Ryan Williams is. He's a guy I think that flips the field. If you get him, he can impact your team immediately, and if you lose him, you have to play against him. So it's kind of a double whammy, like a Julio Jones, like a David Palmer, like a Bo Jackson, that kind of guy. But for him to recommit yesterday to Alabama football and new head coach Kalen DeBoer, how big is that for the Crimson Tide?
He is the Julio Jones of this class. I mean, that was really the turning point, I think, for Nick Saban, when he got Julio Jones. And same thing with Ryan Williams for Kalen DeBoer. I mean, this is a guy who could do, is going to do some special things at Alabama. He's going to be a guy who's going to do some special things at the next level. And this is a guy that, he needed to get. I don't think it was a must get. I'm not going to go that far, but I think it was one of those where, he gets him, and the fan base takes a deep breath and says to themselves, everything's going to be okay. This guy can recruit. Obviously, we know this guy can coach. 25-3 the past 2 seasons. I guess the question was, could he get the big fish? And he got the big fish. So now, I think it puts the fan base in a much better situation mentally, because Gary, they were about to lose it. Some of them had already lost it. So, but everything's back to okay now.
Yeah, it's really, really a big hit and shot in the arm. Although you and I both know this roster is still a good looking roster, and it's, rival fan bases and a lot of media people and talk show hosts have kind of been acting like Alabama lost the entire team. They were, like you said, we're going to be a good team regardless, but getting Ryan Williams really helps Alabama. Listen, the staff, no official announcements have come yet, but the way I count it, I think there's only one full-time spot left on the staff. When you look at what Kalen DeBoer has done with the staff, bringing in Ryan Grubb as the offensive coordinator, the success they had together at Washington, keeping a couple guys, Robert Gillespie and Freddie Roach from Saban's staff, hiring Kane Womack, who really did a good job as a head coach at South Alabama to be the defensive coordinator, bringing in Colin Hitchler, who did really well at Wisconsin. I mean, Maurice Linguist, who's another head coach at Buffalo. What do you think of the staff that DeBoer has put together?
I love the staff, and Kalen said this at the opening press conference. He said, look, that's one of my strengths is organization, and he's a guy who knows how to hire guys. He's got a comfort level with Grubb. He's got a comfort level with all those other offensive assistants who just did incredible things, especially, with the passing attack at Washington. The defensive hires, I think, were pretty solid. I mean, again, it's all about who you're comfortable with, who you trust. And he trusts Womack. He worked with him in Indiana. And Mo, you look at the track record, he's done some pretty awesome things on the college level. And in his 1 year with the Dallas Cowboys, where I think they had 10 picks, and he was coaching the corners. So I love the staff. I mean, I think everything is in place, for them to come in and just pick up right where Saban left off. And I think, I don't think it's unreasonable to expect them to, contend for a playoff spot and win a playoff spot. I think there's enough talent on this roster for them to do that.
Jim Harbaugh wins the national championship at Michigan and is leaving to take over the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, you look at Harbaugh, and I mean, the guy's won everywhere he's been. And even though it got off to a rocky start in Michigan, he leaves them with 15-0 and a national championship. They offered to make him the highest paid coach in college football history, but I think the Chargers and the Spanos family give him something that he doesn't have, and that is, still the opportunity to win a Super Bowl. He's got a quarterback in Herbert. They've got a talented roster there. He's had a lot of experience in California, coaching at the University of San Diego, coaching at Stanford, coaching with the 49ers. What do you think of his decision to leave the Wolverines and head back to the NFL?
Well, it was time. He went out on top. We were talking about this yesterday. I think this is the first time that, both coaches who had coached in a national championship game, left after the national championship game and went to other jobs. And, Harbaugh's proven it, that he can win, at the next level. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great X's and O's guy. I think the players relate well to him. not only at the college level, but at the pro level, you know, where it's different. You know, guys have found that out, you know, in the past. But, shoot, he did all he could do at Michigan, you know, taking on this next challenge. And, you know, the players would say that it always ate at him, you know, that his brother had a Super Bowl ring and he didn't, you know. And so he's pretty pumped about going back in and having the tools and having the opportunity to win one. And, you know, good luck to that guy.
Awesome stuff, Jeff. Always enjoy the visit. And I know, in addition to the nightly sportscast on ABC 3340, of course, you look forward to the Zone every Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday, 10:30 on ABC 3340. Gary, appreciate the plug, and have a good day and stay dry out there. Thanks, Jeff. Jeff Spiegel. All right, it is 10:49. We got one segment left. It's a fairly short segment. We should have about 5 minutes. If you want to give us a call on the Krispy Kreme Donuts hotline, we can work you in 205-342-9904. And I am still trying to kind of get to the little bit of this roster breakdown. I don't know if I'm going to have time in the next segment, but I may have a few minutes to talk about it, and I'll do that if I get the opportunity. Keep it dialed in right here. Tide 100.9 FM and 1230 AM WTBC. For when your finances are in perfect order, it just happens. But no matter what surprises come your way, Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. They offer an easy application process and fast decisions so you can stay focused on feeling good about whatever life brings your way. Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. Alabama Credit Union, loans for real life. Visit alabamacu.com to learn more. Some rules and restrictions apply. See if you're eligible for membership, then join today and feel good about your money. As much as Innisfree has evolved, it will always be that place to escape and have a good time. Whether it's for a game day weekend, to reminisce on college days, or to create new memories, if you're looking for a good time, there's only one thing to do. Head to the Free at 1925 University Boulevard. And don't forget about the Lucky Lunch Meat and 3 special. Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m., get a meat and 3 vegetables for just $8.49. Or for a lighter appetite, try the Lucky Lunch soup, salad, or sandwich combo. I'll see you at the Free.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The flash flood watch remains in effect today and tonight. Cloudy with occasional rain, maybe a few strong thunderstorms. The high today 70, tonight's low 60. Tomorrow cloudy, a chance of rain mainly during the morning hours. The high tomorrow at 68. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 65 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Your home for Alabama Crimson Tide football. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 10:53. Welcome back in, and we're winding it down. But had a good show today. Like I said, different kind of show, interesting show. I've really enjoyed it. So happy that we could bring you the Nick Dunlap press conference, as I said earlier. You know, what an amazing story, and we continue to talk about it and discuss it because very few people in the world have done what Nick Dunlap did, and that's, you know, win a PGA Tour event as an amateur. It's so rare, and it puts him in a category, again, in the world with, you know, when you're talking about hundreds of millions of people, to be a person that has accomplished something that only a handful of people have ever done. I mean, that's hard to do. It's hard to do in sports. You know, it's hard to do something that only a handful of people have ever done. I mean, you're talking about some of the greatest athletes in the history of the world in different sports. You know, it's like Embiid scoring 70 points the other night. You know, that hasn't been done that often. You know, the greats do things that even professionals at the highest level can't do. That's what separates being a good professional athlete from the elite. You know, Michael Jordan separated himself from all the others. You know, we've seen it with Tom Brady. You know, we've seen it with Tiger Woods. And now Nick Dunlap at 20 years of age has done something that separates himself from most other people that have ever played the game of golf. It's just a phenomenal accomplishment. We're going to continue to talk about it, and can't wait to track him next week. Now, I know next Thursday, Justin and I will be tracking his first round at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Now, they're going to be 2 hours behind us, so by the time I'm on the air, he may not have even teed off, but we'll look forward to that. Also, want to thank again our contingency for the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference for checking in with us and getting ready for that big GCAC basketball, men's and women's basketball tournaments coming up at Stillman College at the end of February and early March. All right, reminder, you can catch me on TV tonight with local sports on WVUA 23. And we've got a great sports talk lineup all day long here. Stay with us for great sports talk all through the day at Tide 100.9 FM and 1230 AM WTBC. This hour of the Gary Harris Show has been brought to you by Patterson Comer, attorneys at law. All right, have a great day, everybody. It's still a little bit wet out there, so watch the weather and just enjoy your Thursday. And, of course, tomorrow we're headed into the weekend as Friday will be here. For Justin Jones, I'm Gary Harris. This has been the Gary Harris Show on Tide 100.9 FM and 1230 AM WTBC.
Listening to the Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Krispy Kreme is a